whoever will make the presentation. Good morning, ma'am, and you may proceed.
Good morning, Your Honor. With the permission of the Honorable Senator, may I, as officer in charge of the Development Academy, be allowed to make this presentation for and on behalf of the DAP President, Antonio Calo Jr., who is on official trip abroad in connection with President Aquino's official visit to Europe. As you know, the DAP has signed a partnership agreement with its counterpart institution, the École Nationale d'Administration in France, as part of the deliverables of the President's official visit. And while in Europe, similar partnerships are being explored by the DAP President with counterpart research and training institution. We are here this morning not to defend the corporate operating budget of the DAP, which it generates by itself, but we are presenting the budget for the 3 national government programs that the Philippine government has mandated the Academy to implement. As you know, in 2015 National Expenditure Program, Section 3 under Special Provision provides a subsidy of 160,650,000 to the DAP to be used exclusively for the 3 programs. The first one is the National Government Career Executive Service Program. Second is on the harmonization of the national government performance monitoring, information, and reporting systems. And third is support for the programs and projects of the Productivity and Development Center. The DAP was created on June 7, 1973 by PD 205, which provided its charter. PD 1061 amended this charter by adding the Land Bank of the Philippines to its board, and EO 288 under the Freedom Constitution changed the entire composition of the DAP Board of Trustees. Whereas before, the DAP Board of Trustees was predominantly composed of the heads of government financial institutions, the present board is now composed of cabinet and sub-cabinet level members. The DAP is a training, education, research, and consultancy institution of the Philippine government attached to the Office of the President of the Republic of the Philippines. On the screen, you would see the roles, mandates, and services of the DAP. Basically, we generate innovative and workable ideas on the development, good governance, and productivity through policy and action-oriented researches. Our main mission is to build individual and institutional capacities of development actors through training and education. We streamline and integrate processes and systems and also forges working partnerships among stakeholders through consultancy services and technical assistance. As a self-supporting GOCC, the DAP has no regular budget. We generate our own revenues from project contracts in doing our core business of research, training, education, and consultancy, the use of DAP facilities, interest income from endowment fund and retained earnings, as well as grants and donations. The 3 programs we are defending today represent only 26% of the entire corporate revenue budget, which the Academy is raising itself from program and project contracts with its clients in government, the private sector, and international organizations, as well as the use of its office, conference, and training facilities. The PMDP or the NGCSDP is only 21%. The support to the DAP PDC, the Philippine government's commitment to the APO is only 2%, and the Interagency Task Force on Harmonization is around 3% of the budget. These 3 programs are national government programs which the Philippine government has mandated the DAP to implement. May I now brief you on the first program, the Public Management Development Program. This is a proposed budget of 130.6 million. You would see on the screen the members of the steering committee of the PMDP. Next slide, please. So the chairman of our steering committee is the NEDA. Members are the TBM, the Career Executive Service Board, the Civil Service Commission, and the Department of Finance. The President's social contract, the Philippine Development Plan, and the Cabinet cluster commitments all highlight the need for a purposive program based and integrated professional development plan for career executives who have the integrity, the motivation, and competence to perform and serve for the public good. Taking cognizance of the DAP's mandate under PD 336 to prepare, initiate, and continue to implement a Career Executive Service Development Program for the Career Executive Service, the Senate introduced in the GAA 2011 a special provision which states that the DAP, in consultation with the CSC and the CSB, shall develop and implement training programs for government officials and executives. This was realized only when the program was funded by GAA 2012, 2013, and 2014. The 2015 NEP carries the same provision. This slide shows the target participants of the program. Track 1 is for the senior executive class. These are government officials occupying CESO positions who do not have yet the CES eligibility nor the CESO rank. Track 2 is for middle managers class, which targets the high-performing and high-potential middle managers in the second level who could become future CESOs or government executives in the third level. The PMDP aims to enable the participants to appreciate their vital role in the development process, develop their competencies, foster a strong bonding and kinship among them, deepen the bench for succession, and enhance the image of government as an institution imbued with integrity and professionalism. In the screen, you would also see the learning areas of the program on governance and development, strategic public management, as well as personal efficacy and leadership. The PMDP has more than 50 distinguished men and women from the academe and the private sector and government as its faculty members. Okay, next slide, please. So to date, the PMDP has a total of 334 scholars covering actually 9 runs, and we are opening the last batch in the fourth quarter. And this has benefited 23 national government agencies. In 2013, we graduated 2 senior executive classes, and as well as 4 middle managers classes graduation also, and opening of the program. And in the next slide, you would see that early this year we had another graduation also opening of 3 more sessions. So this slide is quite small, but it's just showing the number of scholars that we have from each of the national line agencies. So for 2015, we are targeting to run 4 classes with a total of 140 scholars. That includes 1 senior executive class and 3 batches of middle managers classes. Now, let me now present the next national government program, which the DAP was mandated to implement. And this is on the harmonization of the national government performance, monitoring, information, and reporting systems with a proposed budget of 19.6 million. This program is actually a mandate which supports sub-outcome 2.2 of the Good Governance and Anti-Corruption Action Plan under the Philippine Development Plan, which seeks to improve the performance management system and monitoring in government. In 2011, President Aquino issued Administrative Order Number 25, creating an interagency task force to harmonize the national government performance monitoring and information system in line with the administration's thrust to raise transparency and accountability in governance. The task force is chaired by the DBM, co-chaired by the Office of the Executive Secretary, with members consisting of the DOF, the NEDA, PMS, CSC, CS Board, COA, Ombudsman, GCG, CHED, and the National Competitiveness Council. The DAP is serving as the Secretariat and Technical Resource Institution of the task force. AO25 seeks to rationalize, harmonize, simplify, integrate the various performance systems in the government and establish a unified and integrated results-based performance management system, or what we call the RBPMS. The RBPMS is also provided to be used as basis for determining the entitlement to performance-based allowances, incentives, or compensation of government personnel. To date, the task force has produced two major outputs to strengthen this performance management system and focus government offices in the delivery of citizen-centric services. The first one is the RBPMS framework, which integrates the performance management systems in government and tightens the link between societal, sectoral, down to organizational and individual goals using the results identified in the PDP, the 5 KRAs under the social contract, and the OPIF as the framework. The second one is the performance-based incentive system, which rationalizes the incentive systems and linking the bonus of government employees with performance, and this was covered by EO number 80, issued by the President on July 20, 2012, which directs the adoption of the PBIS for government employees. The RBPMS is being implemented in phases. The budget for 2015 is for the institutionalization of the program. 2012 was actually putting in place the preconditions for this program, that is setting and agreeing on a clear and reasonable performance indicators and targets with the departments. 2013 is the harmonization phase. 2014 is the alignment of the department targets down to its smallest operational units, in addition to tightening the good governance conditions. And 2015 is the institutionalization of the PBB, which is hope that the system is fully developed such that there is full alignment of the department targets down to individual targets of the agencies. In 2012, the participation rate to the PBB was around 96%, and in 2013, participation rate is around 98% or 189 out of 192 national agencies. And in terms of qualifying for the PBB, in 2012, 77% of these national agencies became eligible to the bonus. And in 2013, based on our records as of August 31, 2014, 81% of the agencies qualified to the performance bonus. One accomplishment also of the task force is in terms of the good governance conditions. And you would see on the screen the average compliance rate as to the transparency seal. This increased from 87% to 89% from 2012 to 2013. For field JEPs posting, we have compliance rate from 79% in 2012 to 90% in 2013. For the report on the aging of cash advances, this increased from 91% in 2012 to 97% in 2013. For the SAL and submission, compliance rate is 96%, and for the Citizens Charter, compliance rate is from 94% in 2012 to 96% in 2013. So the next slide just summarizes the budget for this secretariat support to the task force, which is around 19.65 million. The last program is on the support to the productivity and development Center with a program budget of around 10.4 million. This budget used to be part of the International Commitment Fund of the Department of Foreign Affairs. The DBM, however, separated the expenses of the ICF with the membership contribution, remaining with the DFA, which is remitted to the APO, while the program component was given directly to the DAP as the implementing agency. By way of a backgrounder on APO, it is actually the Asian Productivity Organization, like the United Nations or the ASEAN. It is an regional intergovernmental organization of 20 Asian countries, established by an international convention in Manila in 1961. The mission is to promote the socio-economic development of Asia and the Pacific through enhancement of productivity and quality improvement. There are 20 member countries, and the Philippines is one of the 9 original charter members of the APO. As mentioned earlier, it is a regional intergovernmental organization contributing to the socio-economic development of Asia through productivity and quality improvement. Each member country has a national productivity organization, and in the Philippines, it is the DAP. This happened in 1973 because the original implementing agency was actually the NEDA. In the Memo of Agreement signed in 1973, NEDA, as the implementing agency of the APO, transferred its functions through the Productivity and Development Center established at the DAP. And when PD 205 was signed into law, the DAP charter formalized the transfer of the PDC to the DAP. The transfer of the APO PDC from NEDA to DAP was in view of the fact that APO and DAP activities are similar, as you could see on the screen, and the programs are also similar. So you'd see on the screen some of the international conferences and hostings we had in 2013 and 2014, and that includes the development of productivity practitioners, which is a basic program we conduct for the member countries. Most recently is the experts meeting on performance management for public sector organization and the like. So next slide, please. So these are the other hostings. Next slide, please. Next slide. So then this slide shows the number of Filipinos per sector benefiting from APO programs abroad, and the 10.4 million budget, which is in the NEP 2015, is actually for local programs which the Philippines will be running next year, which will be attended by local and foreign participants. Okay, so this is the total number of projects to be implemented in 2015, 56 in total, with the target participants of 112. And the last slide is actually the breakdown of the proposed budget. So for your appreciation, I think for the last slide, it shows that the amount remained the same for over the past immediate 3 years, and the increase in the number of APO project commitments that will be implemented in 2015, actually from 14 last year to 17 in 14 this year to 17 in 2015. We are asking for a slight adjustment to the budget, which is an increase of around 7%. So that's it, Your Honor. These are the 3 national government programs that the DAP has been mandated to implement. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, ma'am. Just a few questions, ma'am. Your projected revenues in 2015 will be 454,396,000. Is that accurate?
Yes, Your Honor.
And based on the documents I have here, your expenditures will amount to 607,552,000.
Yeah, Your Honor, I will ask our finance officer
Please,
to answer.
whoever is capable of answering. Ms. Armas, Adi Armas, ma'am?
Good morning, Your Honor.
Tama po ba yan?
Yes, sir. The one reflected on the top of the revenue are projects emanating from our regular operations. It does not include the subsidy projects.
Just confirming, ma'am. 607,552
Yes, the
yung total
607,
expenditure.
sir, represents the expenses for the year.
So you will have a total loss of, projected loss of 153 million, 156.
Yes, sir.
Government subsidy is at 160.65.
Yes, sir.
So you will have a net profit of 7.494 million for the year,
Yes, sir.
projected.
Yes, sir.
Magkano po yung pondong naiiwan pa sa inyo na idadagdag sa retained earnings ninyo sa ngayon?
Last year po was 4.11.
Ang nadagdag. But how much is
Yes,
the
sir.
running total right now? I have here total assets of 649,744,644 million.
Right now, sir, ang aming total retained earnings as of 2013 is 72.607 million, sir.
Of which yung sobra dito na 7 million idadagdag po doon?
Next year po.
Idadagdag po next year doon?
Yes po.
Now, a few more questions, ma'am. You mentioned 90% as of 2013 ang compliance sa PhilJeps. Does this include LGUs?
Your Honor, the program is only for the national government. Unfortunately, it does not cover the local government units.
Can you give us a list of the remaining 10% of national government agencies that have yet to comply with the PhilJeps?
Yes, Your Honor, we can
Kindly
do that.
submit that to us, ma'am. SALN, you mentioned 96% compliance. Can you also submit to us yung remaining 4% that are up to, as of now, still non-compliant with the SALN requirement?
Yes, Your Honor. Actually, the condition there is submission of their SALN for fiscal year 2012. Yeah, so but we will give you the
So may
list.
10% na hindi pa nag-comply?
Well, actually, in terms of being non-compliant po, kasi in the PBB, the requirement is for the agencies to submit their compliance or certificate of compliance that they submitted to the Civil Service Commission or the Ombudsman, the SALN of the officials and employees. So when they submit to us the certification, tine-check po namin kung nagmamatch dun sa total number of employees, yung total number of filing that they submitted.
So
pag
yung
hindi po
nagmamatch,
nagmatch,
yun yung 10%.
yeah, yes, sir.
Can you give us the list of those agencies, please?
Yeah, we'll do that, sir.
Offhand, can you name a few?
Just a moment, sir.
While they're looking at that, itong Citizens Charter, same submission, ma'am. Sino yung 2% na hindi pa nag-comply? Kindly submit that to us too.
Sir, we will just submit po siguro yung complete list sa inyo, sir.
Now, on RBPMS, so, sa inyo nanggaling in part itong KRA, MFO at PI na nasa budget ngayon?
Your Honor, the OPIF is actually the DBM's framework. This is the Organizational Performance Indicators Framework. And they use the MFOs or the major final outputs as the basis for the budgeting. And that is actually part of the DBM's standard.
That did not come from the RBPMS program of the AP?
What we did, sir, is to harmonize the existing budgeting system. So the performance indicators framework being used by the DBM is one of the frameworks that we harmonize as part of the RBPMS. The RBPMS covers also the results matrix of the NEDA and also at the individual level, the strategic performance management system for the employees.
So
which
you
is the
collated
use
it, ma'am?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, pakibigay na rin po sa amin yung tatlong hindi pa compliant dun sa RBPMS nyo. You said 189 over 192.
Yes, Your Honor, the RBPMS actually provides that agencies can use this as basis for setting their targets that will be used for the performance-based incentives. The Senate and the
So kasama yung
Supreme
Senado sa
Court
tatlo.
are encouraged to participate, but up to this time, hindi pa po nag-participate.
The
And
House participated already?
not yet, Your Honor.
So it's the House, the Supreme Court, and the Senate. Ito yung
Yeah,
tatlo.
and the Commission on Elections, Your Honor.
Ma'am, 189 over 192. Tatlo lang ang kulang. Pang-apat na yung COMELEC.
One count lang po kami sa
Sa Congress.
legislature. Yeah.
Now, I'm going to that actually. Thank you at binanggit niyo ho yan. Hanggang ngayon kasi hindi ko alam kung saan hinugot ng DBM to eh. Saan galing nga ba yung mga PI na yan? I'll give you an example. On the part of the Senate or the House, how can we say how many resolutions we will pass, how many laws we will pass in a year, how many investigations we will conduct? In fact, hinugot galing sa hangin yung ibang PI ng ibang agencies, and I don't even know where they got it from. I'll give you an example. One PI of DSWD is to start trainings and seminars within 5 minutes of the scheduled time. Fine, but how do we know that? How will we gauge that? How will we find that out? They just give us outputs without even knowing where and how it was generated. 85% of participants in seminars will gauge it as satisfactory. How do they know that too? It'll be generated by them. What was your recommendations about that in relation to our BPMS?
Your Honor, actually, the performance indicators were prepared as part of a discussion between the DBM and the agencies.
I heard itang nasunod daw DBM, hindi yung agency. Nagreklamo nga yung mga agency.
Anyways, ang point po kasi, sir, doon is what we're trying to do with the RBPMS is to improve the performance indicators being set by the agencies. The idea is to come up with indicators that covers the quality, quantity, and timeliness of the services, which are actually customer focused. What you see now, actually, this is part of the process, is that the agencies are still at the stage by which they measure the outputs, not yet the outcomes. So the target is really to shift the agencies from measuring the outputs or the quantities to the outcomes that matter to the citizens. So for example, yung sinabi nyo po na quality indicator na at least 85%, for example, in the case of the DSWD,
Would rate it satisfactory.
Would rate it satisfactory. What we do po during the assessment is, of course, the DSWD has to make sure that they have a systematic process by which they measure the satisfaction of their customers. That's one. But for this year po, what the task force has done is to invite civil society or third-party monitors to validate po yung claims ng agency that, for example, if they claim na 85%, there will be way by which our third-party monitors can find out
That's
that
not yet in
indeed.
place.
This is being put in place po for this cycle of the PBI.
I'll give you another example, ma'am. Some enforcement agencies, that they will be able to detect 50 violations. Where did that come from? So, pag nag-comply lahat ng mga kumpanyang minomonitor nila, hindi sila naka-perform sa PI nila? Meaning, all of a sudden, bumait lahat. They follow the law. Di ba? I mean, natakot na. Kasi nag-stricto. So, pag hindi sila nakadetect ng ganong kadaming violations, they will not be compliant with their PI. I note and put on the record, some of you are smiling. Nakakatawa naman ho talaga eh. Again, I don't know where that came from. It's like encouraging them to actually find fault. Because if they don't, hindi sila makaka-comply sa PI at wala silang PBB. Isn't that a disincentive to actually perform their duties from the part of the consumers, the citizens, who will be benefiting supposedly from their service? Please, ma'am.
Your Honor, the idea actually is not just to look at what the agencies are declaring, and we're actually probing the agencies. So number one, agencies are supposed to declare their baselines. So normally yung targets po nila, kino-compare yan doon sa historical. Now, For certain indicators like that po, minsan, mas maganda na mas konti yung marireport.
Hindi yun ang nakalagay, ma'am.
Well, of course, yun nga po yung sinasabi namin. We're refining po yung mga targets ng agencies, and this is actually a continuing work between the agency mismo and the DBM. And the other thing po that is being done is to pair it also with yung benchmarks with other agencies, no? Yung
But
sa
as of now,
targets
ma'am, if 81% as of August, if I remember the figures correctly, qualified for PBB, and last year about over 70%, it means that we based the PBB last year and we will base the PBB this year on an imperfect system. Meaning to say, may mabibigyan na hindi naman deserving, may hindi naman mabibigyan na baka naman deserving. So in that sense, it is a work in progress.
Yes, Your Honor. But what we can say is that in the study of the World Bank, they found out that in the first cycle of the PBB implementation, there was actually a marked improvement in terms of the efforts of the agencies to clean up their performance indicators, as well as to make sure that the targets are cascaded to the different departments.
Actually, when the budget was first proposed for 2013, yung mandate, mission at vision ng Senado at Kongreso, blanco eh. DBM did not even provide any. Nagmukha tuloy wala kaming vision sa budget so we had to come up with one in time for the 2013 budget. Yung MFOs, galing din po ba yan sa RBPMS?
Your Honor, yung MFOs po, galing po sa DBM. Yeah.
But you studied it too. You looked
yes,
into it.
because we need to harmonize the existing frameworks. So we use the MFOs as one of the bases for setting the targets. But at the same time, the agencies have targets as far as the priority program commitments of the President are concerned. And then the agencies also have targets as far as the good governance conditions are concerned. Also targets with respect to, most recently, the ease of doing business.
Can you look at this too, ma'am, as a favor on the part of the Committee on Finance, because we're confused since you're collating and coordinating these things, or part of the team that does it. Pinresent po nila yung budget sa amin, PS, MOE, CO. Okay lang yan. Tama, dapat naman po talaga nun eh. Pero pinresent din nila yung budget sa amin by KRA and by MFO and broke it down by PS into PS, MOE, and CO. But when we asked any agency, I will ask the GCG in a while, pag bin-breakdown mo yun by MFO, may nakalagay na PS, MFO1. May nakalagay na MOE, MFO1. May walang CO usually. If I ask them, so sino-sino yung sinusweldohan natin under MFO1? An MFO does not necessarily correspond to an office within the agency. In fact, an office within the agency is performing separate roles in various MFOs. So pag tinanong ko sila saan galing yun, sa totoo lang, hindi sila makasagot. They cannot break it up. Na sino yung eksaktong sinusweldohan ng 7 million na PS para sa MFO na ito? They have no idea. In fact, I think they just divided up the total according to how busy they are in relation to one MFO. But I've been asking for names, items, positions that are being given a salary under the PS column, and they cannot give me any. None has been able to give me so far. Yung MOE, ganun din. Kasi hindi naman naka-breakdown by office yung MFO. Yung MOE, sabog-sabog din. Malay nila kung alin yung bond paper na gagamitin para sa MOE dun sa particular MFO na yon. Malay nila kung anong traveling yung gagamitin sa MFO na yon because it's not broken down by office. And it has been giving us confusion the past 2-3 budget cycles. I admit it's a work in progress, but perhaps you can help us clarify these matters in the subsequent budget proceedings in line with your RBPMS program. Because fine, it may look good on paper, but if you go down to the nitty-gritty and ask them about the basics and specifics, none of the agencies have actually been able to answer us. Kindly do that, ma'am, please.
Yes, Your Honor. This is actually a matter that we will raise to the Department of Budget and Management. But at the same time po, I think the key there is actually identifying the programs that fall under each MFO, and so the attribution of the PS and the MOE can be properly made.
Can you also give us, ma'am, as a final note, can you also give us your proposed expenditures for your budget of 607,552? I ask this for one reason only. We're trying to collate all the expenditures on development of government. DAP would be included. So kung may infra expenditure kayo, we would like to include it as part of the total government expenditures on infrastructure para mapakita. Hindi lang naman DPWH o DOTC budget yung infra. We have government agencies, GOCCs too, that spend on infra, and you would like to include that as part of the total as well, including other developmental programs and projects. So can you include that as part of your submission, ma'am?
Yes, Your Honor, we'll do that.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Conditioned upon the submissions asked for by the chair, the proposed budget or subsidy for the DAP for 2015 is hereby approved by committee, favorably recommended to plenary for its deliberation and final approval. Thank you very much for coming this morning, ma'am, and good morning.
Thank you very much, Your Honor.
Morning, ma'am. Hearing is suspended for a minute.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, a short one, we hope.
Hearing is resumed. Chair would like to acknowledge and welcome the presence of Senator Villar. We had just finished, Your Honor, the proposed budget or subsidy for the DAP in 2015. We will now proceed to the proposed budget of the GCG for 2015. We would like to welcome the GCG family headed by its chair, Chairperson Cesar Villanueva. Sir, if you have a presentation, you're recognized and you may proceed. Good morning, pa.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Senator Villar. As soon as we have the PowerPoint presentation on the screen, we will begin, Mr. Chairman. Confused. Ready, Mr. Chairman?
Please proceed, sir.
Good morning again. When we undertook to draw up the strategy roadmap for the Governance Commission, we came up with the realization that its mandate was so well expressed in the very official name of the law itself, of Republic Act 10149, which was to promote the financial viability and fiscal discipline among the GOCCs, and to strengthen the role of the state in the governance and management, and to make GOCCs more responsive to the needs of public interest. Pursuant thereto, Mr. Chairman, we did the strategy roadmap, where the vision was, as its social impact was seeing by 2020 a transformed GOCC sector, significantly contributing to the inclusive and sustainable economic growth and development of our country. Achieved by going into rapid, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth pursuant to the social contract of the President, and promoting good governance condition, usually found within the transparency seal of many of the GOCCs under our jurisdiction. And in the relatively short 3-year term of the Governance Commission, we have achieved most of our mandates. The most important ones would be the passing into law, so to speak, of organic documents upon which we now routinely oversee the GOCCs, namely the Ownership and Operations Manual for the GOCC sector, the Code of Corporate Governance for GOCCs, the Fit and Proper Rule, which has become the official yardstick in determining the fitness of those who are nominated for the GOCC governance boards. We have also institutionalized, and we're in the second year of running, the performance evaluation system for GOCCs, where we negotiate with them on a yearly basis their MFOs and their targets, and we come up with a performance agreement. We are now in the second year of the implementation of the performance evaluations of directors, upon which we determine whether they are fit to continue or to be reappointed to the board, and to make them more responsive to their duties as financial trustees of the government. We have implemented the whistleblowing system, and we hope to invigorate it over the years so that it truly becomes a manner by which we can oversee GOCCs. And we have rolled out the integrated corporate reporting system, which we hope to be in full blast by the first semester of 2015. And we have achieved certain governance gains in promoting the reforms within the GOCC sector. When the Republic Act 10149 was promulgated and we were constituted, we were given an official list of 157 GOCCs, of which 20 were excluded by express provision of the law. And during the years, we have discovered about 24 more GOCCs scattered all over. And we have come up with a working relationship with PCGG to retain those that were problematic and which they had better expertise to govern, about 13 GOCCs. And then we come up with a classification of those GOCCs that have in fact become inactive, non-operational, and classified or recommended for abolition about 12 more. So that today we have a current working operative GOCCs of 116. We've recommended 14 for abolition, and we've recommended 6 so far for privatization, Mr. Chairman. What our aim is, Mr. Chairman, is that we're hoping that by next year we would be down to about 88 robust and well-run GOCCs that can be the cornerstone, hopefully, of being able to promote a sovereign wealth fund by which the government can move forward.
Sir,
Yes.
before we leave that slide, can you run the computation by me? 157 minus 20 is 137.
Yes, Ms.
Idadagdag ko yung 24. Would that be correct?
150.
Plus 24. Di ba ba?
Opo.
So that's 161 minus 13, yung binigay nyo sa PCGG. Right?
Opo, Mr. Chairman.
Classified as as inactive or non-operational, I will subtract that
Yes.
from 148. That gives a total of 128. Classified as abolished or dissolved, ma-minus ko rin po yun.
Minus po ho yan, Chairman.
But these,
Inactive non-operational.
sinubtract ko rin yun, ma'am, but that's where my question lies. When you say classified as inactive, non-operational, have they actually been abolished and winded up?
Not yet, Mr. Chairman. They're there, and some of them are in the process of being formally abolished.
Shouldn't this still be under GCG until it is finally...
They are. In fact, they continue to be on our list, continue to oversee them, and some of them we have recommended for official abolition below, Mr. Chairman.
Yung classified as abolished and dissolved, abolished, ED, meaning one na to, or in the process?
Ito ho, abolished na ito ho.
Yung 12.
Yung 12 are those that have been dissolved. In other words,
Wala na talaga. Liquidated, dissolved, liquidated,
Yes.
sarado na ho yung libro.
We're overseeing them. There's liquidation is still being pursued in many of them, Mr. Chairman.
So technically, I can still add 32 to the 116 dahil, well, trabaho pa rin yung
Yes,
i-oversee.
we
yung
continue to
liquidation.
oversee them, Mr. Chairman.
So that gives you a total of 148. Minus 14 na ipapa-abolish nyo pa.
Yes.
Hindi ba? So by the end of 2015, unless ma-liquidate at ma-wind up na lahat yon, you will have 134. Minus yung mga mapa-finally liquidate, abolished, at
That's right,
wind up.
Mr. Chairman. Yes.
Please proceed, sir.
How did you come to 88?
Oh, we looked at the whole inventory. There are a lot of
So
subsidiaries.
it is not a plus minus here, but a parang projection.
Yes.
Ideal is 88.
Ideal is 88 because two of the big GFIs,
Okay.
DBP.
So you're looking at
and-
consolidation.
Yes, Mr.
Not
Chair.
only abolition, but consolidation.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Like DBP and Land Bank, as
That's right.
was the plan for quite some time now.
Yes.
May I ask question?
Please,
now,
ma'am.
with regards to this list, how do you classify PhilSocor?
PhilSocor is a GOCC in the DA sector.
Yes,
Opo.
but if you look at the work of PhilSocor, parang ano na, parang may SRA na eh.
Opo.
Tapos yung PhilSocor was created during Marcos time because there are many problems sa mga mills. But now, I think it's over.
Yes.
They're on their own. They're private, and I think they can take care of themselves. So, what's the role of PhilSocor?
PhilSocor acts like, to a certain extent, a GFI. What it does is to provide funds for the industry to be able to undertake certain projects. We actually discussed PhilSocor and SRA quite recently, just last week.
Yeah.
Commissioner Butalit, sir?
Yes. Good morning, Chairman. Good morning, Senator Villar. Actually, just last week, we discussed, the PhilSocor board came in to GCG full force, and then they presented their performance agreement negotiation. During the negotiation, they admitted the fact that their mandate to give financing to sugar mills
Yes.
have already tapered off. But there's one significant work that they're doing now, Mr. Chairman, and I guess we need to discuss this further, because they have conducted actual pilot studies and pilot programs whereby they have consolidated black farms. And the performance of these black farms have been significant. In fact, one black farm in Batangas has achieved a 49% growth in productivity.
Yeah, but their mandate is mills.
Yes.
So they cannot
Yes, Your
just
Honor.
go to black farms
Yes,
because
Your Honor.
black farm is under DA, under DNR, and under SRA, because we're passing a sugar industry bill,
Yes.
and that would take care of the black farms. We're going to establish a sugar industry fund for black farms. So I think we should clarify this because I don't want na yung agency gulo-gulo nila. Because the mandate, I read the mandate because I want to know what's their role. And the mandate is explicit during Marcos' time that they should take care of the mills which are having problems during that time. So if that mandate is finished, I don't think they can transfer to black farms kasi marami ng DA yung black farms, DNR and SRA. Parang gugulo. Kasi why are they there when their mandate is not about black farm, it's about sugar mills. So I think I don't have a final opinion here, but I find it confusing. So since we're passing the sugar industry bill, so we might as well clarify this para wala naman tayong hindi natin maintindihan, papasok pa sila, lalong gumugulo, may DNR na, may DA na, may SRA na.
We'll furnish you with a copy of the
Yes, Your
bill
Honors.
so that you can go over it, and once it is finally approved, so that you can consider and evaluate whether or not indeed the efficacy of this corporation is still there, the purpose is still there, or given the provision of the law or the bill, kung dapat na rin siyang
Kasi
pag-aralang i-abolish.
Yeah.
Yes, Your Honors.
Kasi yung sa bill, very specific sa black farm.
Yeah.
Di ba? And can you give me a copy of this recommended for privatization? And then recommended for abolition. I just want to see the list, no?
Okay.
We'll certainly
Please do
take
so.
that into consideration, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Please proceed, sir.
And another question
ma'am,
is the whistleblowing policy. What is this? I cannot understand it. What is the whistleblowing policy?
Sometimes within the GOCC sector, Mr. Chairman, there are people who, in the front line or in the GOCCs, who are aware that there are certain shenanigans ongoing, but they're so afraid to officially.
So you have a
complain.
program?
We have a program that
okay.
allows them to actually complain.
Okay.
We've received a lot of feedbacks on this, and in fact, we're going through the GOCC sector, trying to inform the unions and people on how to best use it, so that they can still complain being anonymous in character.
So it's a program.
It's a program.
Okay, thank you.
Please proceed, sir.
The other gains, Mr. Chairman, would be in the performance of the GOC sector in terms of dividends remittance. Since the GOCC sector had been formally organized with the new administration, we have had an increase in participation from 2011 of only 35 GOCCs contributing dividends to 39 in 2012 to 38 in 2013, and we expect this to go on because of the way we conduct our performance agreement negotiations, where financial viability is one of them. And the compliance rate with many of those where before they used to just ignore the Bureau of Treasury and whether they declare dividends mandated by law or not, the compliance rate has increased from 2011 31%, 2012 52%, 2013 64%. In fact, it's one of the good governance conditions that unless GOCCs comply with their tax obligations as well as their dividends obligation, they're not in a position to declare dividends performance-based bonus to their officers and rank and file. So that has improved tremendously with the 28 billion in 2011 being extraordinary. I think it settles down to about 24 billion every year. The other one would be on good corporate governance gains would be in the improved financial health. We have achieved a lower operational subsidies for GOCCs. In many of the sectors as broken down in the slide, government financial institution have improved, have gone down.
Can you explain how do we interpret this? If you're from 28 to 45, what's the meaning?
Among the GFIs in 2012, the operational subsidies. There are two types of subsidies, Mr. Chairman. One is what we call operational subsidies. One that they use, government gives them a fund to operate in the regular course of business, and there are program subsidies or project subsidies where these are used to pursue economic development projects.
So how do you interpret the figures
So,
here?
dumami?
OPEX subsidies, 28 to 45, lumaki or lumiit?
Lumaki ho in 2013.
Okay.
Trade and development ho, lumaki. Agriculture, lumaki. But when
Education and cultural, lumaki.
Opo.
Gaming,
wala
wala.
ng subsidies.
Energy and materials, wala. Ano ibig sabihin nitong agricultural, fisheries, and food?
It used to be in 2012, the operational subsidies was 4.4 billion, and it has been reduced in 2013.
So this
to
is
200.
better.
Yes, overall, the operational subsidies for the is down by.
No, because I am
39%.
the chairman of agriculture and food. Can you send me a
The breakdown.
breakdown of this? Para lang for
This is
my
principally NFA,
and
NFA.
not necessarily. A big chunk of this is NFA.
Yes,
Would that be correct?
yes, Mr. Chair.
Yung binaba nito, so noong 2012 may malaking subsidy NFA, noong 2013 wala. So yung malaking chunk nito is because of the NFA.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
I think there was less importation in
By government, ma'am.
2030 by government, but now we are importing a lot.
Yes, ma'am.
So
2014.
I think it will grow in 2014.
So-
Can you give me an
We
update
will
on
submit
this?
a breakdown, Mr. Chairman.
While we're in this page, forgive me for the interruptions, Chairman. So across the board, it increased. Government subsidies increased across the board, except for, again,
Agriculture.
NFA.
Yes.
Without NFA, in fact, and we will be importing this year and next year, balik po tayo sa dati.
Hindi. Across the board, it's an increase. Yeah. Yes, Mr. Chair. I think if you extend the comparison to 2011, the trend 2010, you would notice that the increase has actually gone down, whereas before it was just a tremendous increase every year in all of the sectors.
The percentage increase has gone down, but
Yes.
it's still increasing.
It's still increasing because
Can you show us that? Siguro longer period of time kasi ito hindi mas magandang tingnan.
Give us the comparison, sir.
we'll do the comparison.
Kindly submit
Maybe
that
you do 2009 kasi that's a different administration and then how you improved it. When you kasi kayo 2012 ba kayo nag-operate?
A latter part of 2011.
Oh,
Sec-
so para makita lang natin what
The improvements.
GCG has done, you know. And if the figure doesn't show na you are improving, maybe there's an explanation, so might as well give the
So what you're
explanation.
telling us is 2011 to 2012, the increase is bigger than 60% for GFIs. 2011 to 2012, the increase is bigger than 78.8% for trade, air development, and tourism.
Yes.
That's essentially.
We
Can you
will-
give us that table, sir?
We will show that. Mr.
Please, sir. Thank you po. Please proceed, sir.
Based on this, we have submitted to basically DBM our performance based budget based on on two important MFOs, corporate standard services. We do undertake at our risk, of course, the performance indicator of being able to implement already the compensation and position classification system in 2015 because the government sector is really waiting for this implementation. And the second PI would be to implement the leadership management services, which is an integral part of our nomination and appointment,
Bigyan ko sila.
90%. Performance indicator number 3 is the
bill, yung law na nag-create ng Philippine
full implementation of the performance evaluation services by improving the scorecards of many of our GOCCs. The other one is the MFO2, corporate governance services. Our target is that we would be able to undertake with finality the decoupling, abolition, or privatization or merger of 11 GOCCs in the year 2015. That is broken down in the following slide, Mr. Chairman. We'll pursue the decoupling of GOCCs that have both regulatory and proprietary functions, namely CAAP, PAGCOR, LLDA, the Philippine Port Authority, MWSS, and NFA. We will pursue to further rationalize the GOCC sector. In other words, we will ensure that all GOCCs would have undertaken their rationalization or reorganization program to allow them, therefore, to accept the implementation of the CPCS, and which is slated for full rollout in 2015. And in 2015, we would have we would have seen the full year application of the ICRS, which would allow both the GOCC and the public sector to be able to look at the operations of each GOCC, look at the compensation the compensation structure, be able to see the inventory and assets, and to make robust the whistleblowing policy that we hope it becomes an effective sector for being able to instill discipline. We're asking for a budget of 102 million, 38% of which is for PS, 62% for MOOE, and a slight capital expenditure of only 396,000 pesos, Mr. Chairman. And the breakdown is found on the next slide, Mr. Chairman. It's we're increasing the budget slightly from the figure of 90 million from 2014. That's it, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Senator Villar is recognized for interventions.
Yung I noticed usually in a typical budget, the PS is bigger than the MOO. Yours is different.
Opo.
What is in the MOO that make it big?
Yun nga ho, per the literature that was given to us by DBM, one of our more important office would be the Office of the General Counsel. That's the one that really looks at
Yes.
the bills that are being presented, and it's the one implementing the whistleblowing policy. That had to be classified under MOOE rather than the
Is
operation.
that the policy that you don't hire permanent employees?
No, we do.
You subcontract some of your work?
No,
Kaya
no.
nasa MOO.
Hindi ho, that's the literature given to us by DBM. Hindi daw ho sa operations ang
And how much is that?
how much is the
General Counsel.
kaya ho lumalaki ang MOE namin kesa sa
We're quite surprised kasi usually na typical budget, PS ang mas malaki, di ba? Unless may capital. Minsan kasi pinapasukan nila ng capital outlay eh. Oo.
Hindi ho, we've more or less done our
Professional services is at 11 million.
So how
That's
much
the biggest
is that?
item there.
How much is that?
11 of the 62.
Ito ho yung it's our legal services for 2014 is consult 6
Parang
6 million.
20%, no?
6,330,000
62, no?
Roughly.
and other
So it
professional
brings
services
down.
would be 5 million
For a total of 11 million, roughly.
for a total of 11
So
million.
I think yun ang 20%. So parang PS din yun pero
Opo.
nilagay doon. So it will amount to yung ano nyo is 38 plus 20. Kaya yung PS nyo dapat 58 tapos yung ano minus 20, 41.
Yes.
That's a
Opo.
little better. Kasi usually ganun yun.
It looks better.
It looks better. Okay. We na-approve.
Sandali lang, ma'am.
Ikaw magtat.
Sir, just to ask, can you, for the record, mention ano itong inactive, non-operational na 20? That's being winded up or liquidated?
We have an unofficial Annex A provision for that so that we oversee them. We will now
A.
get it, Mr. Chair.
Also, kung alin yung 12 na to be classified as abolished, dissolved, alin po yung 14 na recommended for abolition? Just the list of those companies, sir.
Yung
Dapat nilagyan nila ng annex yun.
in our Annex A, which we will give a copy to
Yeah, it's not here.
the committee, Mr. Chairman. The ones that are classified as non-operational occupy 129 to 148. These are Anchor Estate Inc., Aviation Services Training Institute or ASTI, CDC Farms Corporation, Clark Polytechnic Development Foundation, First Centennial Clark Corporation, GSIS Mutual Fund Inc., GSIS Properties, Inter-Island Gas Services Inc., Land Bank Financial Services, Land Bank Remittance Company, Land Bank Singapore, Representative Office, Land Bank Taiwan Representative Office, Manila Gas Corporation, which has officially ended its corporate life, Meatpacking Corporation of the Philippines, Pascuhan Development Inc., Philippine Centennial Expo 98 Corp., Philpost Leasing and Financing Corporation, Tierra Factors Corporation, PNCC subsidiary, Traffic Control Products Corporation, PNCC subsidiary, and Metro Transit Organization.
So can you give us also the status of the winding up and/or liquidation or stage of abolition that these companies are in as we speak?
Yes.
And the 12 abolished or dissolved?
The 12 dissolved are Bataan Technology Park Inc., Cottage Industry Technology Center, Human Settlements Development Corporation, PADC, Philippine Agriculture Development Commercial Corporation, NABCOR, National Agribusiness Corporation, ZNAC, or Zamboanga National Agriculture College, Rubber Estate Corporation,
ZREC.
San Carlos Fruits Corporation, Philippine Fruits and Vegetables Industries Inc., Southern Philippines Development Authority, Philippine Forest Corporation, PNOC Shipping and Transport Corporation.
Yan yung mga sikat na GOCC.
Opo. Lately, we've abolished yung HGC Subic Corporation, and lately we've had an approval of PNOC Development Management Corporation for abolition.
So also the status of the abolition process of these companies. Recommended for privatization, ano po yung anim?
Yung recommended for privatization would be
GSIS.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Commissioner Ignacio, ma'am?
Mr. Chairman, those would be GSIS Family Bank, Al Amana Islamic Bank, and the NBC subsidiaries.
Question, ito bang mga to, yung mga assets niya, pag niliquidate, saan mapupunta?
Sa PNCC po,
As a general rule.
if they have a mother company, it's so easy.
It
The
will
mother
revert?
company just takes over them.
Pag wala po?
Pag wala po, it's the basically it's the supervising agency that takes over them to handle anything that they still have as part of the NG sector.
Yung mga recommended for privatization, dadaan ba to sa, ano nang pumalit sa APT natin?
PMO po.
PMO. Hindi dadaan sa PMO to.
Hindi ho.
It will be coursed through where?
Through us, basically,
Through
we'll
the
form
GCG.
yes. But one of the things that we want to do, Mr. Chairman, is that PMO knows how to dispose assets. So if there are assets that we will close down the GOCC, and if there's an asset for disposition, we can ask PMO to handle the actual disposition on a long-term basis.
As of now, I think I posed this question already, but I want to place it on the record. Anong classification ng IBC 13 sa GCG? Is it part of the 116? Is it part of the recommended for privatization? Nasaan po siya?
And as for privatization, Mr. Chairman, in fact, we just had a summit 2 weeks ago with the PCOO, with DBP, which is the advisor for privatization, as well as the board of IBC 13. They've come to a manner by which to be able to privatize it in spite of the fact that there are legal obstacles. They will isolate the legal obstacles.
Yung legal obstacle naman po yata nandun sa real estate portion eh.
Yes.
Not on the company and the assets of the station and the
That's right.
frequency of the station.
Yes, right.
But right now, they are still a GOCC.
They are GOCC, Mr. Chairman.
I ask this question, Mr. Chair, because we will be appropriating monies for IBC 13 to pay, by way of subsidy to GOCC, to pay for their unpaid SSS. Magulo nga eh. May SSS sila, may SSS premium sila, may GSIS pa rin na utang, and some employee benefits. So that, if it's still a GOCC, we can
Yes.
give a subsidy for it.
Yes.
Hindi pa naman po talaga na ma-privatize na.
Hindi pa ho. And we feel that by 2015, by next year, they will have come to a final privatization mode.
Now, next, sir. Yung 13 PCGG supervised, I have here the MOA between PCGG and GCG, dated, ano man date ito? July 2013, July 4, 2013. It only lists 9 corporations.
Opo, Mr.
You made mention here of 13. Ano po yung balancing apat?
Yung IBC 13 used to be under them. By the time that was signed, they had excluded it.
Ano pa po? Yung balance. Therefore, 9 lang ang nandito. Ang nakalist sa inyo na PCGG supervised is 13.
Opo, nandito ho sa aming ano. Paulo, sa ano sa inyo?
I think we should make a list na completely
We have a
supporting
list,
this
Apo.
and give us a copy, di ba?
Kindly
Sige ho.
submit. Ano po?
Nasa ano ho, it's in our list but they're just shown as PCGG and we will cover them.
Kindly unbundle it, sir, and
Yes.
submit that to us. Now, still on the PCGG list, sir, they are supervised by PCGG in accordance with your MOA with them.
Yes, well, yes, Mr. Chairman.
Pero yung pinipili ba nilang board of directors, nagko-comply dun sa fitness, ano yun? Fit and proper
They
rule?
actually have their own system. In fact, they're not even covered by our system of compensation per diem.
Why is that?
Mainly because they are governed, PCGG companies are governed by executive orders of long standing on how they're entitled to.
I agree, sir, but this is a later law. And a law will always supersede, as you know, any executive order on compensation. So fine, they're supervised by PCGG, but why will not the compensation package of directors in these sequestered companies not conform to GCG standards? I haven't read the MOA completely, but did you exclude that?
Yes, we wanted to be good neighbors with PCGG, in other words. So we built strong fence between us. And the strong fence is that our agreement is they continue to be under the supervision. They're the ones who do the policies and everything, so that in the future, if anything goes wrong, we don't get blamed for the things that
I agree, sir,
PCGG
but
does.
so many things have been going wrong with the PCGG for the longest time. They asked for this? The law did not exclude PCGG sequestered companies,
They
right?
did not. They asked for this.
PCGG asked this of you.
Yes, mainly because they were the ones who are deep into the litigation aspects of this. They
I
know
agree,
the
sir.
history.
Fine, sir, but I'm
Yeah.
talking about their compensation. Pinaghahati-hatian nila eh. They divide it amongst the direct, ano ba tawag sa PCGG,
Commissioners.
commissioners.
Uh-huh.
They allocate it amongst themselves. They sit in various boards. They receive double, triple, quadruple compensation from each board. What makes them so special and the other GOCCs not? Fine, I mean, may litigation sila, I understand that. I'm talking about compensation. That does not entitle them to a bigger compensation. Don't you agree?
Well, PCGG kasi ho has been in the scene longer than us. So, of the 13 problematic ones,
Actually, masakit na ulo yun. Mas masakit nga yun. Mas matagal na sila na dyan. Tagal na nilang inaabuso yun eh. I mean, not necessarily the current chair, but to include him as well because the practice has been ongoing.
yes, we will be sitting down with Chairman Andy Bautista this Wednesday. So, we will bring this concern of the Senate to.
We will call to task the PCGG as well with respect to this because I don't see any reason why they should be exempted. Fine, I mean, give them the supervision. Sige, nandun ako, under litigation di ba?
Opo.
But the compensation package, the other policies of GCG should be made to apply to them as well.
Yes,
Please, sir, kindly get back to us on that.
we will, Mr. Chairman.
Discovered GOCCs, are there still some out there?
Siguro ho, kasi the last one that we discovered was Calawag.
When did you discover? When was the latest discovery?
The latest one would be LUMC, Mr. Chairman. This is the La Union Medical Center. It was organized as a GOCC, but has been under the direct supervision of the La Union government. In fact,
That is a law. A law established that.
it was organized, yes. And no matter how you look at it, it's a GOCC.
Yeah, but a law established that. I'm one of the authors of that.
That's right.
In the Senate, I remember that.
Ayaw ho nilang maging under ng Republic Act 10149.
That's one more question I'd raise. We did not exclude them either.
That's right.
Very much like the PCGG corporations. Is it up to them to say ayaw namin?
No, we're fighting them on that score.
When you say fighting them, you need to litigate?
No, we don't plan to litigate because they will be in a losing battle anyway, Mr. Chairman. Because if the board wants to continue defying the provisions of 10149, they will now begin to get COA disallowances anyway. And then
So sooner or later?
they'll find themselves in hot waters. Even when they finish their stint as board of directors, they will continue to be hounded by this.
How will you reconcile the provisions of the law that created it Di ba, may LGU representative, may private sector
Uh-huh.
representative from the LGU. How will you reconcile that with the provisions of the GCG law?
Right. We actually have a complete analysis and write-up on this, and we submitted it to them. For example, Mr. Chairman, the provision of the law that allows a government, an elected local official to sit in the board is actually unconstitutional. Even if the law itself provides for it, it's unconstitutional as decided by the Supreme Court. And therefore, we told them that there are certain things that they cannot pursue. So if the chairman wishes, we will submit a copy of that,
Please, sir.
analysis that we submitted to them.
Kindly
Yes.
do so, sir. Now, just a few more points. On PCSO, I've been receiving conflicting reports. Ilan ba talaga director dyan?
Yes.
Can you, has it been settled?
It should have been settled, but
No, but has it, when you say it should have been, meaning it's not yet?
it is settled para ayaw hong tanggapin kasi ng former chairman. Pero ngayon ho may
So ano yung, what's the rule? How many directors does should PCSO have?
it should be 6 now.
Not 5.
By charter is
By charter, it's 5, but because the Republic, our law says that the CEO becomes a member of the board, that and must be elected from among that.
The GM
The GM
is an automatic member of the board.
Yes,
So the charter says 5,
yes,
but but they say it also says that the GM is automatically a member of the board. So kasama ba yun sa 5 o dagdag yun sa 5?
dagdag ho siya sa 5.
So you have 6.
We have 6.
So right now, given that the GM, who's a member of the board, is the acting chair, you have 1 vacancy in the PCSO as we speak.
Opo,
Kasi umalis lang naman si Margie.
opo.
Wala pang pumapalit.
May vacancy nga ho.
So that's final. It's 6.
That's fine, at 6 po.
On PAGCOR, you mentioned here decoupling. Obviously, PAGCOR is both an operator and a regulator.
Opo.
Do you plan to do it before the term of President Aquino ends, or would you rather give it to the next administration? Baka kasi ma-midnight kayo dito, ah.
That's right. Ang nangyayari ho sa PAGCOR, we're pursuing decoupling actually by de facto. And we do it through the yearly PAN. Ang nangyayari ho is, it is a regulator in the sense that it issues franchises to foreign investors, but it's also an operator because it operates its own casinos. What we do is we tweet their major final output to say that they have to start closing down casinos or privatizing them.
But, yun,
And eventually, ho, they'll end up without casinos anyway.
actually, ang problema ko, sir, sayang eh. Instead of closing them down, they could have sold it. What PAGCOR is doing now is they're closing it down.
That's what we're trying to avoid, ho. We're trying to make sure that they
Di ba sayang?
operate them well and then set them for privatization.
In fact, bago sila nag-PAGCOR City, dapat binenta na muna nila lahat yan eh.
Yes,
Para napagkakitaan pa ng gobyerno. Kasi pag tumayo na lahat yung PAGCOR City nila, mamamatay ng natural. They will all die a natural death.
Ang nangyari ho kasi, Mr.
because of that.
That's right. Ang nangyari ho, Mr. Chairman, is that the natural tendency to hold on to things that you can hold on, and they realized that when the PAGCOR City was formed,
Nalulugi na sila.
nalugi na ho sila, so
mali
they
nga.
realize nga ho now that they cannot, their success as regulators is just going to doom their commercial. So ngayon ho, nasunog na sila, they realize that they have to do it now. Rather than waiting for many of their branches to become, to lose, they're actually,
A first-year
Sabi niya.
econ student could have told them that.
alam niyo naman ho, hanggang hindi masunog, hindi nila give up eh.
A private corporation would have done it
Yes.
in an instant.
Uh-huh.
Di ba, gagawin niyo yun? Just a few more questions, sir. I know it may be measly, but can you tell us saan pupunta tong capital outlay yung 396,000?
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, just a few more computers to complete the integrated corporate
Ano, ma'am,
reporting
lahat ng
system.
CEO, tinatanong ko, dago, konti nga lang.
In fact, ho, mas malaki ang hinihingi namin, pero we were asked to just do this.
Now, sir, same question as I asked DAP kanina. I refer you to page 966 of the NEP, volume 4. MFO 1, Corporate Standard Services, PS of 5,561,000. Can you give us the list of employees and positions na mabibigyan ito I'm just doing a spot check, sir.
Uh-huh.
And the MOE of 9,750,000 for MFO1, can you give us a breakdown of that too?
Opo. We will do that.
Can you submit that, sir?
Yes.
Para matingnan lang ng office namin at ng staff.
Our advantage, Mr. Chairman, is that we've organized the various offices under directorship to precisely perform certain items. So we more or less try to do our best to try to divide them into the MFOs. But like you, it's a difficult process. Sometimes we just guesstimate, Mr. Chairman. But we will submit that. We have the breakdown, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, kindly submit that to us, sir. Now, yung professional services na tinatanong ni Senator Villar kanina, 11,652,000. This is basically for?
For the Office of the General Counsel, our
So we engage the services of external counsel.
we sometimes when they cannot be we ask for a plantilla revision to increase our General Counsel's office. When we can't, we get them under contracts of services, Mr. Chairman.
Rent lease of 1.440. Where will this go, sir?
Those are the parking spaces that we are renting for.
And the office space? No.
No, the
This is too
office
small
space-
for the office space.
We
You
have
own the office space, right?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
So
It's
parking lang to?
parking and the copying machines. We don't buy them, Mr. Chairman, so that we don't take the cost.
We do too. Membership dues and contributions to organizations, 4.613.
That's the condominium corporation, Mr.
Ah.
Chairman. Yes.
Ito yung condominium corporations, not in any international or local organization.
No. Not yet, Mr. Chairman. We hope to be part of OECD.
Now, one final point, sir. For the record, ano ulit yung rules sa allowances ng GOCCs, ng director? No double compensation for sure,
Opo.
right? What about amounts or ceilings? You have that policy, right?
Yes, it's still in place. Executive Order number 24, issued by the President, still in place.
SUCs were excluded from the coverage of the GCG.
Yes, Mr.
right?
Chairman, expressly.
So, I'll give you my dilemma. CHED has been assigning, you were once chair, CHED has been assigning its commissioners to sit in the boards of various SUCs, 111 SUCs, hati-hati sila. And SUCs give per diem or whatever for each meeting.
Every quarter.
For their quarterly meetings. And CHED commissioners parcel this out amongst themselves.
20 sila.
Tigda 20, essentially tigda 20 nga sila. I find that an exception to the rule, really, given that, correct me if I'm wrong, even secretaries in an ex-official capacity
Cannot receive.
who sit in a board cannot receive.
They cannot.
Di ba? Why is CHED an exception?
I think it's because even EO
Malilit lang
24
to, mama. I mean,
No. There are series of disallowances
Ng COA?
na kami lahat na naupo. So nagbabalik kami ngayon ng pera.
why were they disallowed?
Sabi ng COA, why will you quarrel with COA? Di
Oo nga,
balik
ho.
mo na lang. The
Even ho yung-
problem is for those who have spent the money, like
Yeah.
yung mga simple tao na naupo lang doon, then they
Opo.
spent the money already. They're having a hard time paying it back.
That's
But
right.
there are a series of disallowances.
Yung members of the board na iba. But this one, di ba, correct me if I'm wrong, secretaries who sit in an ex-official capacity in a government corporation cannot receive.
They cannot hold. That's
Additional
an absolute
compensation,
ban.
di ba?
Opo.
But what about this one? SUCs aren't covered by GCG, but it's basically the same.
Yeah, oho.
May nakaupo doon na NEDA, hanggang NEDA, and then
Agriculture, pag
DOSD, pag technical, tapos pag agriculture, DA, regional director, yung mga
so they
ganon.
receive. Hindi sila covered?
Unfortunately, we do not wish to express any opinion because they're really outside of our coverage. And
Sir, the SUCs are outside of your coverage.
yes, so
But the government functionaries should be, given the policy that they cannot receive
They,
Diba?
they should not.
Additional compensation.
Lalo ho yung cabinet members, the constitutional ban is almost absolute. Mr.
Well,
Chairman.
ang nakalagay po na member, correct me if I'm wrong, ma'am, is ang nakalagay pong member doon is the secretary, or in this case, the CHED chairman for SUKS. Sa agriculture, it's the secretary actually. Kaya lang niya-represent siya ng regional director. Sa NEDA, cabinet rank din yon, it's the secretary. Kung DOST, it's the secretary too, but he assigns or designates a regional director too. So shouldn't they be covered as well?
They should be covered. In fact, even Executive Order number 24 did not included SUKS into the limit.
Alam mo, dapat i-clarify yun. Para kung hindi natatanggap, wag na lang. Kasi dinidisallow after, and that's the problem. Where will you get the money to pay it back?
Perhaps, Chairman, can you coordinate with either the Office of the Executive Secretary or perhaps GCG can issue a
We will
clarificatory
coordinate with the
guideline?
Office of the Executive Secretary. They oversee the SUC's.
A clarificatory guideline that they are covered. Again, citing the concern of Senator Villar na baka ma-disallow lang din at dinidisalaw na nga daw. Pati sila pinapabalik yung pera. Might as well clarify it early on para hindi na sila mag-abono.
False expectations.
Oo nga ho.
Please, sir.
Opo.
Condition
We will
upon
do
the
that.
submissions requested for by the chair and Senator Villar. Senator Villar, you have a motion?
I move for the approval of the budget of GCG.
So moved, there being no objection, the same is hereby approved. The proposed budget of GCG for 2015 is now submitted, is hereby ordered to be submitted to plenary for its deliberation and final approval. So ordered. Maraming salamat po. Magandang umaga po.
Pangalan nila may GCG.
Hearing is suspended for a minute.
Senator.
Mahaba ba? Nagdilang
Yeah.
ha? Wag 10 minutes ha, 10 slides. Mr. Sund, Chair would like to acknowledge, welcome, and recognize the PCED family, headed by its Executive Director, Director Clarete. Good morning, sir. If you have a presentation, you may proceed.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and
Thank
good
you, ma'am.
morning. Yes, I think you have also have a hard copy of our presentation. So, yeah, okay. So, Mr. Chairman, the PCED, as you may well know already, that was created way back in 1974 by Presidential Decree 453. Its mandate is to provide financial and moral support to the research, teaching, training, and other programs of the School of Economics of the University of the Philippines. In particular, the mandate of the PSED is to provide support to the functions of the UP School of Economics in terms of its teaching, research, and training. Okay. Or that's okay, Mr. Chairman. So next slide, please. The next slide will show the organization. Next slide, Neri. Yeah. So we just have really a board of trustees made up mostly of the cabinet secretaries. The chair is the NEDA Director General, and I am also a member of the board of trustees as an executive director. And by the way, the executive director is ex officio the dean of the School of Economics. Of UP, yes. And most of our staff are actually on a part-time basis. We only have about 8 permanent full-time staff. But most of the principals, like myself, we are just really doing part-time work for PSED. Because the main function of PSED is really to provide financial and moral support to the functions of the School of Economics. So in the next slide, we attempt to put some logic in what we are doing as PSED. So down below we have these 4 activities in the bottom row of that slide. We conduct economics training, we disseminate knowledge from our research, we generate research, and most importantly, we produce graduates in economics. And with these outputs of the School of Economics, this is supported by PSED, we provide support to the overall economy. So the public and private sector will have access to competent economists. There will be also enhanced knowledge about the workings of the economy, the impact of public and policies and regulations. And this will contribute eventually for the economic development of the country and hopefully the alleviation of poverty. PSED's fund is made up, next slide, of 2 sources. One, we have a regular fund. This one is coming from an endowment fund that used to be 17 million in 1974 and 1979. Now this has already ballooned to 120 million pesos through our prudent investments of the fund. The other source of support is the national government support, which started in 2012 with 14.5 million, 2013 another 14.5 million, and 2014, 21 million. On the regular fund, we earn something like 7 million pesos a year out of our 120 million corporate funds. And this we use for the research of the UPSE, activities of the UPSE faculty, and personal services of an MOE of PSED. Next, in terms of the framework of the DBM, we only have one major final output, which is research and developmental services. And we have 3 performance indicators: the number of research projects, the quality of our research projects, and the timeliness by which we deliver our research. In 2013, most of our budget, also in 2014, our budgets were focused really on research. So, for example, in 2013, we had 24 research papers, and in 2014, we are working on 29, again, on research papers. 2015, we hope to do 2734 research activities. So what we are asking for...
Sir, I only have 18 here.
2015, sorry? 18?
For 2015,
2015, 27 outputs po.
I have 18 research papers here enumerated. 2015 planned research. I'm on page 8 and 9.
I have
How many do you have, sir? I have only 18 here.
18. I have 27, 3.
What page is this?
This is now slide number... Oh, page 4.
Page 4 pala yan?
Page 4. Page
Your
4.
page 8 and 9. Page 9 only has 18.
Towards the
For
end.
2015. 18 or 27?
Okay.
Ma'am, can you forward it to page 9?
Okay. 2015 planned research.
Yes. 18?
Mr. Chairman, let me explain that. This is just a call of the planned research, and the call is continuing.
Okay. So as of now, to.
As of now, yes.
Okay,
But
sir.
in our planned research, which is in this particular slide number 4, page 4, we plan to get more than that.
Okay, sir. Please proceed.
Okay. In terms of the financing of this particular activity, in 2015, we are asking for 13 million pesos, and that will all be dedicated for the research activities of the School of Economics. We do not have any funds like for the graduate student research program and fellows in residence, so we don't have those activities that are funded. So we seek to fund that from some other sources. So that's what we are asking only for this year, 13 million. That ends my presentation.
Mga magkano po for research paper, sir?
It varies po. Basically, a paper will be around 250,000 if undertaken by one particular person.
These are prepared research papers already or gagawin pa lang?
Gagawin po.
Who decides what topics will be written about?
Mostly the faculty would make the decision of that. In the sense like we trust the faculty to be also cognizant of the relevant policy issues that are economic policy issues that are important for the country. Let me add, Mr. Chairman, if other agencies would like us to do some studies, we entertain that particular request also.
Who decides, sir? The board?
The board will not decide on the research program.
Who decides, sir?
It's the research, the executive director assisted by the executive director assisted by the research committee of the school.
Because offhand, sir, I can think of a dozen more topics relevant that's not here.
Okay, if that is, that's what I mentioned, Mr. Chair. If there are other topics that may be suggested, then we would entertain that.
But what if nobody's willing to write on it or research on it? I mean, di ba? This is supply-driven, meaning this is what the authors want to write about, research about. It's not demand-driven. It's not what government needs at any given point in time. I presume this is all supply-driven. Dahil may mga proponents eh.
Po.
Wala po kayong demand-driven research?
Mayroon po. Let me give you an example. The Secretary of Agrarian Reform approached us to do an assessment of the Agrarian Reform Program after 25 years. So we're doing that research. We will be doing that research this year. It's not in here because that one is a demand-driven type of research. So we entertain research that may fall on us because one agency of the government would like us to do this particular research.
Sir, how much is the endowment fund right now?
120 million po.
120?
Opo.
of which your income per year from that endowment fund is how much?
7 million.
And that's what you spend, or you spend more?
We spend, that's what we spend. So we protect our corporate funds so we can sustain.
But for 2015,
15?
you will have a projected net loss of 8.249 million? Tama po ba?
Okay. 2015 po?
Apa.
Only four, no? Well, maybe our finance director can
Please, sir.
explain this. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair. For 2015, under the page which says under the heading comparative profit and loss statement, there is a column there in which for fiscal year 2015, under our proposal for profit and loss, we will incur a net loss of around 4.2 million. Yes, after subsidy. Well, before subsidy, it's 17.
Saan ka nito? Let me ask her. On 2013, based on 2013 audited profit and loss statement, you suffered a loss of 518,000.
Yes, sir.
Saan na-charge to? Sa endowment fund? I presume.
Yes.
Lalo yung magkukunan eh.
Yeah.
For 2012, net income of 10.26.
Opo.
Accurate? For 2014, rather, net loss was at 8.249.
Yes, sir.
14 pala yun. For 2015, your projected net loss is 4.214.
Yes, sir.
So, nagagalaw yung endowment fund?
Opo.
Nagagalaw siya. It was originally at how much, sir?
100. At the start of it, 17 million in 1974 to 79. But then now it's 120 million. About.
120 million as of today.
Yes.
So, it will go down by 4 million next year. Tama pa?
Opo.
Sir, may I make
Please,
a
sir.
comment on
Please,
the
sir.
endowment and also on our earnings?
Please,
Part
sir.
of our problem, sir, is we have basically our revenues come from two sources, no? One primarily from rental income, which is the building that is owned by PCED, and also from
Ito
income
yung sa may building nyo?
sa Diliman po,
Sa School of Economics.
School of Economics po,
In the UP.
in UP.
Yung ba yung PSED? Di ba yung PSED nasa gilid?
PSED po is
Sa likod ng balay na alumni? Yung ba yun?
Hindi po, hindi
Which
po.
one is that?
PSED po is located within the UP School of Economics po.
Yung pong sinasabi niyo po ay yung hostel.
Hostel.
Nagiging university hotel which
Alin
we
yung
turned
PSED?
over.
Alin yung building na? Yung building mismo ng School of Economics?
School of Economics.
Correct, sir.
Yes.
Correct, sir.
Sa inyo yung building na yan?
PCD po yan.
Yeah.
PCD, asset po ng PCD.
Talaga?
yan.
Which we are making available for the School of Economics.
So yung mga classroom po, yung library po, those are all housed in PSED assets. Well, the other source of income po would be income from investments. And right now, because of the low interest rate climate, that is affecting our income stream. So that part, the income from investments, that has been affected by the low interest rate
But
climate.
what is the rule with respect to the endowment fund? Can you dip into it? Shouldn't it be protected? Diba? Make do with what you have. Subsidy
As
plus
much as
income.
possible po, we do not want to touch it. So, because that will upset our flow each year.
But it's being touched almost every year, except in 2012.
Yeah, we are trying our best to get some more subsidy from the government. But this year, we are not so lucky with DBM. We were only given 13 million.
But isn't it a matter of reducing the research papers, for example, instead of 27?
That's also
You
one
can
of
come up with less so that you don't touch your endowment fund in 2015?
Eventually, we will be going into that.
If eventually you'll be going to that, sir, if I may ask, so why did you suffer a net loss, or why will you suffer a net loss of 8.2 in 2014? That can be avoided pa? Or not anymore? Contracted na yung mga researches?
Contracted na po yan.
The 2013 researches of PSED actually bye-bye. May 757,000, may 601,000, may 332,000. Where is this figure based on?
The cost of producing the research. There would be several researches that are collaborative in nature, so there are several faculty members doing the research. And there is a cost of research assistance.
Actual cost?
Actual cost, yeah.
But why are they the same, sir?
Sorry, the same?
They're the same. 2013, Clarete, ASEAN Economic Community, its impact on the Philippine economy, 757,593 pesos and 60 centavos. Fabelia, Development Progeria, I don't know if I pronounced it correctly, what it is and how it came about. Exactly the same amount, 757,593.60.
Okay. Mr. Chair,
Please,
may
sir.
I explain?
Please, sir.
Okay. The research activities of the PSED are grouped into two things: independent research and collaborative research. In the independent research, this stems back way back in the 1970s. The cost of that research was pegged on the salary of the faculty member. Something like 80% if you do not have any international publications, and 100% if you have international publications. This has been approved by the board way back in the 1970s. So that's independent research, and the funds of that was coming from the earnings of the investment of the corporate funds. Sometime in 2008, we have a global financial crisis, and we couldn't support anymore that particular research. So we started looking for other sources of funds, and that's when we created another program called collaborative research that are more, not so much the call of the faculty, but it's more what is demanded by other agencies. And that's when we started looking into the Congress, the legislative body, for financial support. And that's why we are seeking subsidy.
It's okay, sir.
Yeah.
I'm just asking questions for the record, just to enlighten us. No imputations of anything. So, yung 200,000, 757, 593,000, yung 332,236.80 is based on their salary.
Research.
Okay. And these researches, sir, are in the Econ Library?
Yes, po.
Are they published?
They are not published. Not published. They are published in the sense that they are in our website, but they are not published in terms of international publications. Some of them are, because they are refereed. It's really up to.
PSED does not have a publication?
We do not have a.
Parang, kumbaga sa law, yung law journal. Parang
we have the Philippine Review of Economics, which we publish with the Philippine Economic Society.
And all of these are.
But that is still refereed po. Kaya when the faculty submits it, then if it's accepted, then that's going to come out as a publication.
Okay, sir. Thank you. There being no questions and objections, the proposed budget or subsidy for the PCED for 2015 is hereby favorably recommended to plenary for its final approval and deliberation. So ordered. Thank you very much, sir. Maraming salamat po sa pagbisita. Magandang
Thank
umaga.
you, Mr. Chairman.
Hearing
Thank you, Mr.
suspended.
Chair.